Welcome back, everybody. We got another episode. Not our most timely appearance, but post draft, we're coming at you. Just me and Ryan this week. We'll keep it pretty short and to the point. We're gonna get into these picks, break it down round by round, pick by pick. Should be pretty fun.
A lot went on, man. I'm excited. I can't wait to get down to it. Talk about these rooks.
Yes, your first rookie pick in this draft was Gardner Minshew, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe no, I took Ray Davis in the fourth actually, but
All right, I'll
we,
go Bills.
we don't need to jump the gun here. We'll obviously spend a good 5 minutes on that one.
Glad we just have somebody who was in the heat, the thick of the draft. Glad we're getting your input.
Yeah, maybe we should have gotten a guest or two, but whatever. We're going.
Yeah. Off the top rope, we had Nico 1, 2, 3, an enviable position to be in. He went Malik, Marv, Caleb. How do you feel about it?
I mean, it's obvious, and I have tried to emulate the same strategy in other leagues. I will be honest. And I know you did in that startup. This is a draft that you kind of want a lot of, and he has a lot of it. And many people, including myself, believed that there was a tier gap of a top three, and he has all of them. The order, a little questionable, but I think that was just for the archives, just to look back on and chuckle, or maybe look back when Malik Nabers is the best player in the NFL and think he was a genius.
Called a
But yeah, I
shot.
mean he's got his two quarterbacks, or not two quarterbacks. Well, yes, he has Caleb now and Stroud, and I believe someone else half decent, um, as well as his two cornerstone receivers, adding to his already good receiver room. So it's going to be a force, that's for sure. He's ready at any given moment.
Yeah, I still think it's me at the top of the receiver room, but he's about a year out from probably taking that title from me. He made good picks. And I'm sorry, breaking news. We have somebody requesting to join the chat. Could it be Rob Schefter joining the Zoom call?
Oh my God.
This is unprecedented. I don't know what's
It's a
going
Rob
on.
bomb.
We've been assured he has new Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
We've got the man, Rob Schefter, in the
No,
call.
I won't tell anyone, I promise. All right. All right. Yeah. Hold on. I'm busy. I'll talk to you later. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Schefter?
Yeah. I'm in the war room, guys. I just got off the phone with Zach Fedor. Apparently, Rob Bomb alert. He was on the phone with Brennan Rouse.
What?
There's talk of multiple top 25 dynasty assets to be on the move.
Who could that even be? I don't know.
Live on the call,
Oh,
the
no.
Rob bomb dropping. Brennan and
I
Field
wasn't supposed to tell anyone.
Well, hopefully the
Hold
trade
on.
gets.
Is my Wi-Fi messed up right
You're
now?
solid. You're
We're
solid.
rolling. We're rolling.
No, we can get through it. By 4th of July, big trade is going to be dropped.
Oh my God.
That's my Rob bomb.
We were actually in the middle, before you popped in there, in the middle of recording our draft recap pod.
No way.
We'd love your
No
insight to some of the
way.
action that went down. If you want to stick around, recap the rest of the pod or the draft with us.
I would love to. How far did you get?
We're through Nico.
3.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Let's get
Any
rolling.
thoughts on how Nico started the draft?
Yeah, I mean, pretty chalk. I mean, to be fair, also the three best players. So
Yeah,
he did what was expected, but also the expected thing isn't always the bad thing. I think he came out the big winner of the draft.
Yep.
for sure.
After that, I think another example of doing the expected thing, but the right thing. Tom stood at 4 and took Jaden Daniels.
You know, I think Rob was scared he was going to go May, but you know.
No, I mean, I have a story. I was going to talk about it when we talked about Drake May. I can tell it now if you want.
We're about to get to May anyway.
Yeah, so the week before is when I started my Rob Schefter shenanigans because I really wanted Drake May on my team. So I tried to figure out what everyone else was doing, and I knew Tommy was set on Jaden Daniels, but then Pat was my roadblock. And at like a couple days before the draft, I hated Pat so much because he originally wanted 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and Jonathan Taylor to move from 7 to 5. So I told him no. So at that point, that's when I just tried to figure out what my actual plan was because I was set on taking May or McCarthy, but Pat threw me off of a quarterback. So I had to figure out what other people were doing because I didn't want to do that anymore. But then the day of the draft, Pat goes, if someone falls, someone doesn't get drafted, do you want 5 so you can take Drake May? And that's where this contingency thing starts, where he really wanted to take Michael Penix and shock everyone.
Yeah.
The
Wow.
birth of the first Rob bomb.
Yeah.
Everyone was shocked, that's for sure.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I was like spilling everyone's secrets to everyone. Like I was letting everyone know what other people were thinking. Meanwhile, this is the one thing, it was like contingent. I couldn't tell anyone about this. And this was like the biggest Rob bomb of the night.
That it
Definitely
was.
was.
And
Go ahead.
so Daniels, I gotta say, at the start of my off season, I started rising with the dynasty crowd. I now think they're a little bit too high on him, but I think it was the pick for Tom. Makes sense. And then Rob getting his quarterback. Manager in the mirror episodes before, we had talked about how his, and in the recap episode, we had talked about how his room was familiar but a little light. Now he's got another horse in the stables, so
Mm-hmm.
it's looking interesting.
I spy a Brady fat head on that wall there. You got the guy
Yes.
after the guy after the guy.
After you did. Yep.
A much better outlook than the guy after the guy, I think. I think I'd be a lot more optimistic in Drake May than things turned out with Mac.
Yeah, I don't like the guy after the guy. Don't like him.
All right. Well, after you took May at 5, Tom was up again, paired Jaden Daniels with Roma Dunze. Pretty chalk as well, I think. Another good pick.
Sure. Zach was making moves apparently, as when Rob hopped on, but we've been waiting on a manager in the mirror appearance. So I don't know when our next episode will be. This was my pick originally. Um, and we haven't really recapped that. So I believe this one was Jared Goff and essentially Roma Dunze for Jordan Love, who I foolishly proclaimed on the podcast immediately after Superflex redraft. That was my love. So I got him, and I think it was worth it. And I think these young quarterbacks are about to become untouchable. So I'm glad I made the move. It worked out well though, because if Tom didn't make that trade, Nico was, and I was going to do a deal with Nico where he gave me Olave, and he was going to take Odunze at the 6, and he was also going to go Caleb and Jaden in the 2 of those picks. And so essentially Tom was forced to, as somebody that loved Jaden Daniels and Roma Dunze, he was forced to make the trade with me to avoid that from happening. Although I think it was a fair deal anyway. But yeah, a little behind the scenes there.
You definitely paid the price to go get your quarterback. I'm a big Goff fan and I'm a big Adunze fan. But certainly, like you said, if Love really is the guy that you think he is, that's the price you got to pay for it.
And Ryan actually gave me the inside scoop on this before it happened. I kind of broke the news to Tommy that he was about to, like, Tommy tried calling me with like this big trade he was about to do, but I already knew what it was. And I kind of had like the inside scoop most on Tommy. We would drive home from work and talk about what other people were going to be doing. So I knew he liked Rome, and I knew that's what he wanted to do. And I think it works out for both teams with the direction that they want to go. So I think it was a win-win.
I agree big time. Tom got younger, he got fuller. I got a guy that I think can take me to the promised land this year. Then after that, I honestly was surprised by Dan. Rob and I thought what we had was special, but we were talking in the days leading up to the draft on our way home from work. I told him I thought you were going Bowers.
Yeah, this was my first shock of the draft. I had no clue this was happening. This is when everything that I thought of, this is when I like start scrambling a little bit because I had no idea what was going to happen after this point.
Yeah.
What was the thought here?
I think after 6, the draft really does open wide up. The dream, I started at 8. I moved up to 7. The dream would have been Rome. I made calls about moving up for him, but what wasn't in the cards, I didn't think it would be. So it just came down to best player available, draft best player available, and then fill needs in season, however you gotta. I really believe in JJ. I've done 3 rookie drafts this offseason. I had the 8 pick in all 3 drafts, and I took JJ in all 3 drafts. Great situation, quarterback who I think is good enough to work in the NFL. And I mean, I would have loved Brian Thomas. He would have been the pick if I didn't go with Worthy, not Rome or not Brock. I just Brock's a little bit too much of a long game play for me in Oakland. I like him, but I'm trying to win now. And if I'm going to take a guy who's probably not going to help me win now, which is what JJ is too, I'll gamble in the quarterback where, like Love, like if these guys hit, it's just so much more valuable. So I took what I thought was the best long-term team play, and that was JJ. It's tough to pass on a receiver. Very thin at receiver now, but I'm happy with him.
If anything, it can be flipped. You need some flex play.
That's the hope. If he really starts hitting the value, shoots through the moon, and then I can turn it into a receiver, running back who can really make a difference. After that, we had Penix, another surprise.
Another
Probably
surprise.
more out of left field than the McCarthy pick was. Pat started at the 5 pick on the day, and he came away with 8 in Penix, which sounds like he got his guy.
This guy has footwork. We know that.
Yeah. We also have to talk about, I think talking about Pat at 8, we have to talk about Pat started at 3. And I don't want to slander Pat too much because this is a family friendly, lighthearted podcast, but he went from 3 to 8, got 2/3 and a second. Was that the capital he got?
He got
He must have
2/3
gotten
to
it.
go from 3 to 5.
And then I gave him a
And you
second to
gave
go
him a
from
second.
5 to 7.
And then he moved up 2 picks in the third, or moved down 2 picks in the third, up 2 picks in the third to go from 7 to 8.
I think Pat was scrambling just a little too much. My original offer to Pat would have been better than what we settled on to move up here. And then when I found out he was taking Penix, I can talk about it more than I'll talk about it more when we get to the beginning of the second round. But I had some plans that I was working on that just didn't happen. But Pat's playing the long game with Penix, and we'll see if it works out. Um, Definitely the most questionable actual pick of the NFL draft, and I think of the first round, the one that shocked the most people in our draft as well.
It's really interesting because I felt like I needed to make a few moves if I really wanted to be in contender status with the way the top of this league is filling up. And I think it was almost like an expansion team space race. And Nico just got there first. So now Pat's trying to stack with some long-term value, really build something for a year or 2 or more from now, which is exactly what Penix is. And if he hits the way the Falcons think he will hit, and the way his talent showed in college, if it translates, then it's going to be quite the steal to get that at the 8 in a couple years.
Yeah, Pat's got a really strong roster, I think. He has a lot of young talent. He has some win now players. But his mindset, he's said pretty consistently that he sees himself as being a year or 2 out. I think the temptation could have been easy to go for like a Jonathan Brooks or someone like that, but he held to his vision. He's sticking to his plan, and we'll see how it plays out.
For sure. Tom going Worthy. I'm personally a Thomas guy at this point. I was a little surprised, but not too surprised. I know a lot of people like Xavier Worthy as well. And then Jesse going Thomas there felt inevitable. I don't know if you guys had any commentary on either of those. I like Brian Thomas a lot.
Yeah, so I didn't expect Pat to call me back to try and move up for me to get Drake May. So I was deciding between Worthy and Thomas, and I was flip-flopping every other day. And then I think if I didn't move from 7 to 5, I think the day of the draft I was leaning Worthy just because of the Rashi Rice news. And it wouldn't be so much to have two good players. It would just be kind of hedging my bets a little bit. So I'd be like, okay, I know I'm at least gonna have one receiver that's good with Mahomes. So that
Right.
would have been a kind of stinky situation, but that's where I was leaning if I had that pick.
Yeah, I think Worthy, Brian Thomas, and Ladd, who you took as well. They were 3 out of those 4 picks with Brock in there. We're all a tier to me. I think it's kind of pick your poison, any of those 3 guys. I like you, Ryan. I think I prefer Brian Thomas, but yeah, really, really take your pick. I think all 3 picks of those 3 receivers made sense for their teams. Luke stopped the Brock Bowers slide at 11. Apparently there were thoughts that he might go to me at 8, but definitely didn't think he'd fall to the second. Luke with Trey McBride already. He just, I guess, thought the value was too good to pass up. Can't really blame him. Super talented player.
I agree. He loves stacking those tight ends. And I think he fielded a lot of calls there, but the thing about everybody clamoring for your pick for one, oh, okay. Rob got bored.
He got a phone call. He's got to go check the wheeling and dealing. Maybe this Brennan and Zach trade went through.
Yeah, perhaps. I can't imagine what it could be, but wow, that's big news.
Yeah, the pot's being stirred. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I think Luke, once you're fielding like 3 different offers at once, everybody clamoring for the same guy, you're like, okay, now I'm just gonna take the guy. Like this, I can't, even if you haven't done your research or whatever, at that point, the value is evident to you.
Yep.
And I think he made the right call. And then I think Ladd was also the right call. And Keon after that. So
Yeah, I like Keon. As a Bills fan, I'm a Kincaid guy. I'm a little bit skeptical of Keon Coleman on this tier for Dynasty. But like he's got the prototype alpha type build. He's not super fast, but like you could see it panning out. And with Josh, with the target vacuum they've got there, like yeah, you can't complain with the pick.
for
Pretty
sure.
great long term. It's just I think they're going to keep adding better pass catchers. I will say this was the range in the draft. I was trying pretty desperately to move up. Rob with the Ladd pick, Tom here with Keon, and then Nico at the next pick took Brooks. I was on the phone really trying to wheel and deal with all 3 of them, trying to make move up for Brooks, who Nico did eventually take. I think that's a great pick. Nico has a rock solid 3rd running back now. Rob is hopping and back on the call. We might have Rob back. But yeah, I thought the Brooks pick was great. And I think that was kind of the end of a tier of a certain caliber of players for me.
For sure. Rob, you're muted.
Yeah, my computer died.
That's tough.
Hold on. Where are we at in the
I'm
draft?
talking Ladd right now.
Yeah, that's completely my fault, guys. So what I wanted to say, sorry, I'm on my phone. This is new for me. So I thought that were we talking about the tier break after Ladd?
We
Or
were just
Jonathan?
talking about the
No.
picks in general.
All right, so I thought after Ladd there was Jonathan Brooks, and then that's where my tier, like that's where I thought there was a little drop off. So I wanted 2 of those guys. So when I knew Penix, I tried to use it to my advantage a little bit. I knew Penix was gonna fall or was gonna get picked in the top 8. So I knew one of those guys was gonna fall a pick. So I was trying to trade up. I just didn't know if I knew Danny was taking McCarthy for sure, I would have made a move. But I was scared that if I traded up a pick, that McCarthy.
The audio is cut out, but I don't think
I don't
Rob
know why
wanted
we can't
McCarthy.
hear you. I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go.
All right, so I was saying I had trades in place to move up a pick or two, but that was before everyone knew that Penix was going to be taken. So when Penix got taken, everyone else realized, oh, some of my guys are going to fall. So then they all said no to me. So I wish I was a little more aggressive with that.
Yeah.
Can you remind me, because didn't one of these picks belong to you and then go to Pat? Somewhere in this range? What was the kicker in the 8-5 deal?
Or the 7. Oh, no. So the kicker was if Michael Penix didn't get picked in the first round, I would get my second round pick next year back.
Oh, it was next year. I thought it was one of these picks.
No. So basically he was saying, hey, if I don't take Michael Penix, you move from 7 to 5 for free. So like I had a trade in place with I think almost with Tommy and with Luke before the draft to move up because I had the 2-0. I think I had the 207 as well. So I tried to move from 207 to 203, 204. But I just couldn't. I just didn't want to take the risk of McCarthy being the one that fell rather than a Jonathan Brooks or a Dion or someone else.
True. I like the pick. Jonathan Brooks certainly is shaping up to be the lead guy there. And the offense is definitely looking like it's going to be better. But I think Ladd lands in a better offense. And I like that over Brooks, and especially with all the running backs you have currently. I think if you needed a tiebreaker, that's one right there. So
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. All the picks make sense, I would say. Pretty run of the mill. Just pick your poison, as Dan put it earlier. I think this is a pretty even tier of guys right here.
Yep. So then we have Feeds who had 15 and he also had 18. At those picks, he took Leggett, whatever you want to call him, and Ricky Pearsall. So he mopped up those last 2 first-round receivers. Neither guys I feel great about for different reasons. I do like Pearsall, but I mean, 2 first-round receivers in the back middle part of the second round. I mean, you can't complain with it. That's great value.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think because of the uncertainty in San Fran, I could see Pearsall being better. I think Leggett is gonna Leggett his, but I don't know. Yeah, I think there's a ceiling there. Whereas Slick Rick, I've seen him be the only capable receiver in an entire offense, and he still gets open. Obviously, it's college, but if this is against SEC defenses, which at least I put some respect on. Yeah, he could get it done. He's a guy that gets open. So even if it's not, you know, the most insane role, he'll be there. And I think Purdy's going to be his check down artist self, and it's going to be real good for Slick Rick.
I also think, I mean, it might be the stack that you want the least, but he's got his stack with Bryce Young and Leggett also. So that's something also.
I think that came up during the draft on the FaceTime. I forgot about that. Yeah, no, I mean, he's bought in, that's for sure. And I mean, you're getting in low. Maybe it goes up. Bo Nix at 16, I thought was a sharper pick. Luke, quarterback wise, has been a little. He has Hurts and Deshaun Watson. So I mean, this is the year for Deshaun Watson. If it doesn't work out, it's pretty much over.
Well, this was the trade with Luke and Nico, right?
They did swap these picks.
Don't know.
I don't
Yeah,
remember the details, but they swapped these. After I didn't get Jonathan Brooks, I was then again trying to call to make moves for Trey Benson. It was Luke and Nico that swapped here.
I forget what moved. But yeah, I like it for Luke. I don't think Nico needed another young quarterback. I'm taking it that he didn't really love Pearsall or Benson or anyone thereafter too much. So I think it makes sense for both parties. And Sean Payton, I've heard this on a couple podcasts. Sean Payton's basically staking his career on this Bo Nix pick. This is who he wanted. This is his guy. Got rid of Russ, who I thought did a very capable job last year. This is the guy he wants to build around and the quarterback he wants calling in his plays too.
I actually think that didn't Nico get Brooks and then I think Luke got Nix.
That might have been what the trade was.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Like yeah, I don't know.
So Luke moved back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the next pick. If getting Leggett and Pearsall first round receivers in this range was a good price, then getting a top 13 picked quarterback in a super flex is an absolute home run there, I think.
For sure.
Then Rob, we've got you with Trey Benson. You want to talk a little bit about
yeah, so I wanted Jonathan Brooks. I was also trying to trade up for Brooks when he started to fall. And then I just kind of accepted that he wasn't going to be there. So then I looked into Benson a little bit before the draft, but then I realized James Conner is there, and he's someone who hasn't played a full season. I don't know how long. So I feel like with that pick for year one, it's like one of the better handcuffs you could have until next year when James Conner is a free agent and he's probably going to be gone. That's when he can step into that role. And then my older running backs will probably take a step back. So that's just a good replacement for the future, I feel like.
I agree. It feels like it's Benson soon, if not near immediate. Although Connor had a good year last year, who knows?
Yeah, I thought it was the perfect pick for your team. Young running back depth that will keep you producing while your receivers, like you could see 2-3 years out of it. And so back part of that, you'll be definitely getting good production from Trey Benson.
And Brennan did the same thing at the 20. He's got the aging running back room all looking good for this year, but he gets his depth. Corum, the Rams love to get a good year or two out of a guy and then throw him by the wayside. So they clearly value Blake Corum enough. Was he a second rounder, third rounder?
Definitely not second. He might have been third or fourth.
I think he was third.
Yeah, really same logic as Rob. You're right. It's a good team building move. Made a lot of sense for him. The only other pick of the second round at 2-9, Pat took A.D. Mitchell. Talented guy, fell further than I think people thought he would, but he's got Richardson too, right?
He does.
So there you go, another manager building a little stack there with A. Rich and A. Mitchell.
Does he have the slut too?
Who knows?
Let me see.
He could be anywhere.
I don't know. If he did, that would be funny because he started on Pat's team last offseason. That's what started this whole cycle.
Well, he did
Jesse
the full
has
rounds.
Jesse has the slut.
Yeah, that's fitting.
But that rounds out the second round. We're running a little thin on time here, so looking towards the third. Any picks that stood out to you guys? Anybody y'all want to talk about specifically? Rob, you got Polk, another manager building a stack.
Where I was going.
Yeah, he fell. I mean, a Patriot receiver picked in the second, falling in a dynasty draft. That was the only pick there for me.
I don't mind it either. I could see it.
Hard to complain with. Quick
We
note
could talk
also
about Burton because a lot went on there.
I was gonna say also building a stack. Tom got Burton to go with Burrow, and Jesse took Roman Wilson. Stack with Fields. Who knows?
Right.
Yes, I did move out of the spot where Tom took Burton. I was gonna take Burton. I had my eyes on him. Tom wanted him bad. Yep. Tom knew I was gonna take Burton. But I felt good. I had Javon Baker about equal, and I felt good he would be there. And Tom, I just kept saying no, and he just kept adding things onto it. So it was eventually like a third and a couple scrub players. I don't know. Nothing super crazy, but I liked it as a decent package to really move for two guys in the same tier.
Everybody's been obsessed with Burton just because I guess the T departure and everything, and Boyd now being gone. I'm not incredibly sold. So I saw you make that pick and I liked it, and then I liked it even more when you moved out of him.
Yeah. Him and Baker are just kind of the same thing to me, kind of late day 2, early day 3 gambles, guys who you hope they find a role in kind of an ambiguous situation and stick a little bit.
Baker's been looking good in OTAs.
Has he?
Yeah, mossing some people.
Ben
Spike
Sinnott
here.
feels like a real Nico pick. I've seen a lot about him too. I buy that buzz a little bit more. Seems like immediate opportunity. And this is an offense that if it doesn't work, I don't know what Washington will do
They do have Ertz there.
for now. That guy loves getting hurt, and
That's
he
true.
definitely is not there long term.
Yeah, Sneako's definitely not taking snot for this year. I mean, yeah, third round, it's definitely a good pick.
And Troy Franklin, Rob, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, we made a little off the cuff trade. I'm just really high on this draft class, and I think not enough people are putting stock into the how much time him and Bo Nix spent together already. And then there's talks about Cortland Sutton being on the way out. So I think he's going to be a day one starter, and to get that in a third round of a dynasty draft, I think, or a rookie draft in a dynasty league, I think that was a good pick for me at that spot.
And we haven't seen the Sean Payton mind really flourish in Denver yet, but back in the day, the Saints were feeding a lot of mouths. So even if Sutton's there, who I love, there's certainly room if it's running like it used to get his favorite college target some targets as well.
Absolutely.
Any other picks? Anything else y'all want to talk about this draft?
I mean, Jesse stacked the. Oh no, he doesn't have Christian anymore. Never mind. Obviously Ray Davis, pick of the draft at 4-9.
Go Bills, no beef there.
Yeah, I mean,
I gotta say, the draft was pretty awesome. The activity, the buzz, just everybody being on that call, people hopping on, people hopping off, people themselves picking up calls. It was a lot of fun. So thank you everybody. It was a really banging draft. Probably our best.
Oh, absolutely. I think my favorite part was seeing everyone on the FaceTime, and then two people just got off, and you're like, oh my God, what the hell are they
Yeah.
pulling right now? And then, of
Yeah.
course, for half of them, I feel like I tried to get added just as like a spectator or something. But I just felt like I had to know what was going on.
If you weren't getting the pick, you were at least getting the scoop.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I was worried because we've had our share of in-person drafts. I was bummed when we punted that, although it seemed pretty necessary. One of
Yeah.
us is over the pond and all. And I was happy. I was very surprised when we at one point had 9 people on the FaceTime. It was pretty sick.
How much time do we have left on this?
250.
Do you want to do a quick winners and losers?
I like that. So Nico's an obvious,
including Nico.
yeah. Jesse didn't have a ton of draft capital, but I really like where he got Thomas. So I give him some props for that. I guess you could call that a winner.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tommy also had a good little draft, getting to the top. What was it?
6.
But yeah, 4 and 6. Can never go wrong with that.
Nope.
He added Jaden Daniels, Roma Dunze, Xavier Worthy, and Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good draft.
Filling out that team, that's for sure. Definitely a winner.
And I mean, I guess someone who actually had picks. I mean, in hindsight, Pat probably could have gotten more from moving from that low pick to 8 and taking Penix, but we'll see how that unfolds.
Yeah, I would call Penix a winner of the draft, and Pat, it's hard to not call a loser of the draft.
Wow.
That was really just if I gotta pick a loser, because I think the picks across the board made sense. All the trades were pretty good. It's hard to not see that one Penix move as kind of the standout questionable decision of the draft.
Yeah, no, it's defensible, but it's definitely he could have gotten more. That is for certain.
All right. Any closing words for the league?
Zach Fedor, get on this podcast. We're trying. We're trying. I thought we were close. Now we're not close.
I'll have some scoops coming soon. Some raw bombs coming soon.
All right. Great catching up with y'all. League, we'll catch up soon. Peace out, everybody.
Oh, wait.
See you guys.
Wolves in 7.
Go Celtics.
All right. Peace, everybody.
See ya.